Alright, hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ryan here. I'm making a video. I'm going to publish this because I've been making tons of videos, not publishing them. I'm going to talk to you today about networking, social anxiety, or feeling uncomfortable, awkward, being introverted as I drive to my appointment. So what I'm going to talk to you today is really about networking and connecting with people. Because as someone who feels like they have some social anxiety, someone who feels awkward, someone who feels introverted, someone that feels out of place when you go to parties, doesn't like going to parties, doesn't like going to dinner with acquaintances or lunches with acquaintances, doesn't even like hanging out with people in general unless it's like a real specific reason, like if I'm training you, or if we're doing business together, or if we're playing a game together, like Magic or video games, right? So anyways, I'm talking about how to network, how to connect with people, how to get over it. And I'm actually just talking to you a little bit of sort of what happened. If you've been following me for any period of time, you know that maybe some videos I made in January or December, I talked about being afraid about going to this event. The event was called TNC, which is Traffic and Conversion Summit, and I was afraid of going. And actually there was another event before that, which is a kind of a private mastermind, a very expensive one, that I was very intimidated to go to. And every time I went to each of these events, changed my life on everything. And the next, what happens is I went to another event to Las Vegas for direct response copywriting. Changed my life, okay? And so how do you network? How do you connect with people? Well, this is how you do it. Like, it's the problem is, here is the problem. The number one problem that you're having, if you're having trouble talking to people or connecting with people, is you're thinking too much about yourself. I've been told this a lot, and often I don't believe it or I discount it, but people say I overthink things. You're overthinking things. I'm talking about, I overthink things. And the people who are really good socially, people who are sort of like extroverted, people who like hanging out with people, if you're introverted like me, you probably have maybe one or two friends or family members that text you or call you on a regular basis. You know, I like texting, but then I have a friend that calls me on a regular basis and I always pick up the phone because I'm comfortable talking to him, but in general, I don't like being on the phone. A lot of that has changed over the past couple months. And to kind of get over, your problem is you're overthinking, you're thinking too much about yourself, you're not thinking about the other person, right? Think about relationships, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, kids even, right? You have to focus on the other person. You need to think about someone outside of yourself. Why is it, for me, someone who has these problems socially or feels like they do, how can I train people, call people, schedule appointments, and be a trainer for the last almost 18 years, right? Because I had a purpose. I was helping someone get in shape. I was teaching someone how to do exercises. Even though I felt nervous and I was had sweaty palms and was sweating and uncomfortable and awkward, I was focused on helping another human being with their fitness. And a lot of the time when you are focused on helping somebody else, anxiety goes away. Or a lot of it gets subsided. Actually doesn't go away. A lot of it gets depressed because you're focusing on them. I mean, have you ever had a moment in your life when you're talking something, you say something that you wonder yourself, should I have said that? I wonder what they thought about what I said. I hope they didn't take that the wrong way. A lot of the time that's you thinking about yourself and how you look to that person or how you look to these group of people. Or remember being in high school, how you look to your friends, family, teachers, all these people, or the cool kids, the people that sort of have the social capital in the high school realm. But like in the real world, or not real world, in the adult world, like you can still overthink those things, but no one thinks like you. You are a different person than everybody else. I'm a different person than you. I can think that you're going to interpret this one way, but you may interpret it a completely and different other way, right? So even though my message is sort of for people who have social anxiety, people who have awkwardness, people who are introverted, you may interpret the message I'm trying to share in a completely different way in the way that I'm trying to share it. And this brings me to my number one point. There is no way to tell how someone is going to feel and respond to what you say. I'll repeat that. There is no way to tell with 100% accuracy how you feel and respond, how someone will feel and respond to what you say. You know, I can say to someone, that's a really nice shirt. They can be thinking, is this person lying? Is this person trying to get something from me? Or they can just say, oh, thank you. that's a nice person. You have no idea what they're thinking. And what you're trying to do, like what I do, is you overthink and you try to predict what's going to happen, how someone's going to feel, which sort of causes this feeling of anxiety, this kind of being oversensitive to your surroundings. And it's a lot of wasted energy, right? Another analogy I can kind of explain this to, have you ever read like a paragraph in a book, or read a book, or read a poem or something, right? And you read it, and then you read it again, maybe a couple hours later, or the next day, or maybe a couple years later. It's easier to read. Why? Because it's predictable. You've heard it before. You've seen it before. It's something that you are comfortable with. That is sort of what you're trying to create when you have anxiety. You're trying to create those predictable moments. But the reality is, there are no predictable moments. Let me preface this. Like, for example, I'm driving my car. I'm going to make it to my destination. I'm going to be fine, right? But there's no prediction in how I'm going to feel after I park. There's no prediction in what parking spot I'm going to be in. I just know I'm going to find a parking spot. I know that I'm going to, train my next client, right? For you, same thing. Like, you're going to have a general idea, but the problem is, in my head, like, think of it, anxiety or social awkwardness or not being able to work in a social atmosphere is because you're trying to find this one parking spot and find it open and try to park there. And when you get there, you find out the parking spot's not open, or I find out it's not open, I'm gonna get upset. That's kind of how or I'm gonna feel weird because I'm expecting this to be open, or I need it to be open. When you talk to other people and you're interacting with people, you're sort of expecting people to respond in a certain way. And the reality is, you're trying to predict what they're gonna say, you're trying to predict how they're gonna feel, you're trying to predict a bunch of different things, and then you're trying to interpret what they say when you interact with them. And the problem is, you can't predict, you can't read their mind. You can read body language, you have a good sense of things, maybe you have experience with this stuff, but you don't really know. So what do? You let go. So what I mean by let go, you just let go. You let go of trying to control something that is not under your control. Stop trying to control people, because you don't have control over people, right? You just don't, right? So you have to just, the way to sort of be comfortable in social environments is you just have, the extreme way of saying this is to not give a fuck. Right? The reality is, when you have anxiety, when you're weird, when you feel awkward, you're introverted, and you don't want to be in social atmosphere, you don't want to talk to people, you don't want to hang out with people, you're worried about what people say, that is you giving a fuck too much. From, what's the book? Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Manson. And so you gotta let go of giving a fuck. Like, you just don't give a fuck. Now, that doesn't mean like say fuck that, I don't give a shit about that. You don't have to be like necessarily in a very negative way of saying it. It's more like, I don't give a fuck, like it could be blue, it can be green, it really doesn't matter if it's blue or green, right? It could be cold, it can be hot, it doesn't matter if it's cold or hot, right? It's just like whatever, right? You have to have this sort of, I guess, whatever mindset when it comes to social interactions. I guess I may able to tell this, whatever mindset to social interactions. I'll probably call it social awkwardness, social anxiety and awkwardness, whatever, right? I think that's the name of the video. And I'm saying this because, like, I still have this problem, and what you're feeling is the fight and flight response of adrenaline, of expectation, of prediction, and trying to figure out what your place is in the world, or where your place is in the situation you're in. And you've got to remember that it's not predictable. Some parts are predictable, but what people are going to say and how they're going to feel, what they're going to feel and how you're going to feel to what they say is not predictable. It's most of it, if you just focus on just saying whatever, or you focus on feeling whatever, you feel it as it comes. And what am I really talking about? This is why this is about being present. It's about being in the moment. It's about seeing things for as they are, not as better or worse than they are. And then accepting it, right? Not accepting it as in like, oh, I'm not going to be able to improve myself. Just accepting as that this is what it is. It's red. It's cold. It's hot. I'm in California. I'm in a Prius. You're just accepting wherever you're at, right? And just being okay with where it's at right now, and then doing something about it later, or doing something about it as you are having the information or the experience happen. This is why meditation is so powerful, because I've never understood why people say, especially Tim Ferriss, why meditation has been the most important thing for a lot of people, high-level people. And the reality is, the reason why is because it teaches people to be present. It teaches people to be in the moment. And that is really hard to do for a lot of people. It really is. To really just be in the moment, to be here, now. Not somewhere else, not with somebody else, not thinking about anything else, but just doing this thing. This is kind of why I really like making videos, or why I love YouTube, or I love creating things, because when you are truly creating something that is beautiful and powerful and creative and just something unique, or something that you're trying to share, what you find is you have to be present, right? You have to essentially get sucked into the work or sucked into the activity. And when that happens, you have no choice but to like be focused on that one thing, right? And this is, basically intensity. This is why exercise is so important for me, because my mind wanders a lot, and the harder I train, the less my mind can wander. When you meditate, you're actually trying to, because really I'm distracting myself with exercise if you think about it. But when I'm working out, or when I'm not working out, I'm trying to just meditate and do some sort of like mental exercise. Really what I'm doing is I'm trying to teach myself how to be here and now, and just be here. That's why you focus on the breath. Whereas like right now I'm making this video, I'm focused on making this video, but I'm also having this client. So basically I have a client I got trained, I'm making a video, have my backpack on, making sure I have all my keys, I'm gonna work out after. So I got a lot of stuff going on in my head. But see, because making this video takes a lot of effort, or attention I should say, you're in the moment, or I'm more in the moment of this specific thing. So when it comes to anxiety, focus on whatever it is you're doing, the person. Not thinking about what's going to happen next, but thinking about what it is you're doing and who you're talking to and where you're at, right? Focus on, here's the last thing, be curious, because it's a powerful ability.